All right, for a while now, we've seen AI that can think, AI that can write, but what if AI could do things? That's the big question we're tackling today. We're diving into what's being called the next giant leap for artificial intelligence, AI agents. These are the systems that are designed to go from thinking to doing.
So to really get what an AI agent is, let's skip the boring textbook definition for a minute. Instead, I want to tell you a story. It's a real-world example that honestly shows off the kind of mind-blowing, almost magical potential we're talking about here. And that story comes from Marco Argenti, the CIO over at Goldman Sachs. Now you gotta understand, he was a big skeptic at first. He just wasn't sold on AI's real-world uses. But then, one single experience with one of these new AI agent tools, it completely flipped his view. He said it felt like he was working with a teammate, a junior developer, not just running a piece of software.
So what actually happened? Well, he gave the agent a task that had been sitting on his back burner forever: migrate a simple charity website. And this is where things get really cool. The agent didn't just, blindly follow an order. No, it started asking questions to clarify things. It asked for the login credentials it needed. It even gave him real-time status updates while it was working. And then, get this, in just 20 minutes, it was done. It handed him a fully deployable package, complete with all the documentation and even unit tests. And that whole story just perfectly sets up the big question. What is this thing?
Right, that magic we just talked about. It's not really magic. It's coming from a huge fundamental shift in what AI can actually do. We're literally moving from AI that's good at generating text to an AI that's a true agent of action. So let's really break down what that means. And this chart here, it lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the AI we all know, right? The standard large language model, the LLM. It's basically a super powerful text generator. But on the other side, that's the agent. And here's the key difference, the real game changer. An agent doesn't just spit out a response. It observes what's going on, it makes a plan, and then it actually takes action to hit a goal. It's a doer, not just a talker. Now, this ability to do things isn't just random guesswork. It follows a really structured, continuous loop. Think of it like this. First, it gets its mission. That's your goal. Second, it looks around. It gathers all the info it can. Third, it thinks, okay, what's the plan here? Fourth, it actually executes that plan. It takes action. And fifth, and this is so important, it learns from what happened so it can do better the next time. It's this constant cycle of seeing, thinking, and doing. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, but why does this really matter? Well, let's just talk about the money for a second. The market for these AI agents is already over $5 billion. But check this out. Forecasts show it exploding to almost $200 billion by 2034. We're not talking about some niche little tech here. This is on track to become a massive, massive part of the global economy.
But of course, not all agents are created equal, right? Their abilities really exist on a spectrum. And probably the best way to wrap your head around this is to picture a ladder. Every single step you climb up that ladder represents a huge leap in what these agents can do. More power, more autonomy.
And this pyramid, right here, basically shows us those steps. There are 4 main levels of agent complexity. So think of this as our little roadmap for the next few minutes. We're going to start at the bottom with the foundational brain and work our way all the way to the top, where you have whole teams of agents working together. Okay, you ready? Let's start climbing. At the very bottom, level 0. That's your core reasoning engine, just the basic LLM brain. Now, take one step up to level 1. Here, the agent gets plugged into the outside world. It can start using tools like, say, searching the web to get up-to-date info. Then we hit level 2. This is where it gets really strategic. It can break down big problems and even start to improve itself. And then at the very top, level 3. This is where you get multi-agent systems. We're talking about an entire team of specialized AIs all working together on one big goal. And that level 3, this is where things get completely transformative. The best analogy I've heard is that it's like having an entire company in a box. Seriously. You have a project manager agent calling the shots, and it delegates tasks to other specialist agents. Maybe a market research agent, a product design agent, you name it. It's a fully coordinated, autonomous team.
So I know this all sounds a little like science fiction, maybe a bit like magic, but it's not. These incredibly complex behaviors are the result of some really clever engineering. They're built using these structured blueprints, and they're called design patterns. These patterns are basically what tell the agent how to think and how to act.
Okay, so let's look at the first big one. It's called prompt chaining. This is your classic divide and conquer strategy. The idea is, instead of throwing one giant, messy problem at the AI, you break it down into a bunch of smaller, more manageable steps. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like following a recipe. You just do one instruction at a time.
So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, you, the user, give the first prompt to agent number 1. Whatever that agent produces, its output becomes the input for agent number 2, and so on. It creates this logical chain reaction. It's a simple, step-by-step workflow where each part hands off its work to the next in line.
Okay, but what happens when a task isn't just a straight line? Not everything is a simple recipe, right? That's where the next pattern, called routing, comes into play. You can think of routing as a traffic cop for information. It looks at a request, analyzes it, and instead of just sending it down one fixed path, it makes a smart decision and directs the task to exactly the right specialist for that specific job.
So here's how it works. The user's prompt goes to a central router. And this router, which is often an LLM itself, is the brain of the operation. It's the decision maker. It analyzes what you're asking for and sends it to the best agent for that task. This makes the whole system so much more flexible and adaptive than just a simple rigid chain.
Okay, so we've seen what these agents are, and we've peeked under the hood a bit to see how they're built. But that leaves the biggest question of all, doesn't it? Where is all this headed? What does a future powered by this kind of tech actually look like? And why should we care?
Well, the researchers and experts who live and breathe this stuff have come up with 5 major predictions or hypotheses for the future of AI agents. And let me tell you, every single one of these points to a profound shift in how we work, how we live, and just how we interact with technology in general.
First up, they predict the rise of the generalist agent, an AI that can manage really long-term, messy goals. Second, imagine deep personalization, where an agent proactively figures out what you want to achieve and starts helping you, maybe before you've even fully figured it out yourself. Third is embodiment. This is when agents jump out of the computer and start operating robots in the real physical world. Then there's the agent-driven economy, where entire businesses could be run by autonomous agents. And finally, the wildest one, metamorphic systems. This is AI that can literally re-architect itself, rewriting its own code to get a job done.
So when you think about it, we've gone from a simple website migration all the way to a future of self-rewriting AI. This whole journey is really about one big shift, moving from AI as a tool we use to AI as a collaborator we work with. And that leaves us with one last pretty fascinating thought to chew on. If AI is really becoming our new partner, what's the first great challenge we're going to solve together?